Hello and welcome to our next video in the series of Basic Law for Business, and this one is about employment law. There are many different laws about employment situations. There are two main areas. First one is health and safety, and the second one is the relationship between the employer, the boss, and the employee, the worker. Health and safety includes many different things. Many of the safety laws have been passed after something happened where a lot of people were killed. Laws about buildings used for work. There are laws about what the building can be made out of. For example, for many years asbestos was used to make buildings and to control the temperature. Then they found out that it can cause cancer if you breathe in the dust from it. Now you are not allowed to use it anymore. Many building laws are about fires. Many people have lost their life because of fires in the building where they work. As a result, there are laws about making it easy to get out of a building if there is a fire. The law says you must have more than one way out. That is because in the past, people have died because the only way out was blocked by the fire. For tall buildings, they cannot rely on lifts to get people out because in the fire, the electricity might not work. If the electric wiring is done wrongly, it can also cause fires. So there are laws to say that all the electrical things, like the lights, fans, and wall plugs, have to be installed by a qualified electrician. It's also important that workers know what they should do if there is a fire in the building and the fire alarm goes. Many countries' laws say that there has to be a notice in every room to tell people what to do if this happens. They may also make businesses practice leaving the building every 6 months, so that even if people don't read the notice, they know what to do. The work that people can do also causes health problems. Sometimes the effect happens straight away, like if you breathe in poisonous smoke, or the problem can only happen if you do something for a long time. An example of that is people who work in a very dusty situation, like coal mining. Breathing in coal dust for one day at work will not hurt your health, but breathing it in every day for 20 years will. Where people know there could be problems, the law will make them try to make the problem as small as possible. If there is a dust problem, they must have fans to take the dusty air out of the room or filter it to remove the dust. If it is very noisy, they must give workers headphones to protect their ears. People who work in hospitals are always meeting people who are sick, so there is a high chance that they will get sick themselves. The law says their employer has to give them masks or plastic gloves to use when they are with their patients. They might also get vaccinations against some diseases for free if they work there. Accidents can be a big problem. Many machines can only be used safely if you are trained to use them. The law makes sure that you will be trained. Some situations, like construction work, are dangerous. You're often working high above the ground, where falling is a danger. You must also wear protective clothes like hard plastic hats. Making people follow the rules is the next topic. Even though some of these rules are made to protect workers, they often don't like using them, or maybe it's not convenient. Miners don't like wearing masks every day while they do hard physical work. Hospital workers might not always use a mask if they will only be with the patient for a short time. Making employers, bosses, follow the rules is a much bigger problem. In rich countries, there will be people employed by the government whose job is to go around the factories in their area and check that they are following the rules. If they are not, the businesses will be forced to follow them with another visit soon afterwards to make sure that they did. Might also have to pay a fine, money that you pay because you did something wrong. If the problems continue, for example, every visit they find something wrong, the government will take stronger action, even closing the factory if necessary. If times are good and it's easy to get a job, the bosses might find that people don't want to work there because it's too dangerous. In all countries, the situation is a lot different. Some of the laws described above do not exist, and corruption often means that the businesses can pay the government inspector not to visit their factory and check if they are following the law. The result is that the law is not followed and workers die in fires and workplace accidents. The second big area where the law affects employment is the agreement called the employment contract between the employer and the worker. This controls things like what you will do, when you have to start and finish, what breaks you will get, your salary, and your holidays. The what you will do part usually also says something like any other duties as requested. That means the job is not as described in the contract because the boss can ask you to do anything and you have to do it. The truth is that most jobs change step by step over time, and the description in the contract you signed on day one is usually way out of date. Some employment contracts are for a fixed period. For example, fruit pickers might have a 90-day contract. Many countries also allow a trial period of, say, 90 days. The employer can assess a new employee's performance in that time, and at the end, they will either confirm their employment or they will stop working there. The employment contract will also say how it can be ended. Usually, either of them, the employer or the employee, have to give a period of notice, say 2 weeks or 1 month. There are usually arrangements where the employer can cut this short if the employee has done something seriously wrong, like stealing. In many countries, employers cannot end a contract with no reason. If the worker isn't working well, there will be a series of steps, each one tougher than the previous one, to give the worker a chance to improve. If they improve, they can stay. If they don't, they will go. The employer can ignore this process if something happens that will hit the profits hard. If they lose a big contract, the boss is allowed to sack some workers because they don't need to make as much in their factory as before. But there has to be a real business reason for this to happen. The normal notice can also be ignored if there is a serious misconduct issue. For example, if one worker complains about the behavior of another worker. Contracts may also say how disputes will be settled. This is normally by getting a person respected by both sides, called an adjudicator, to listen to both sides and reach a decision. Trade union representatives can also be present for these meetings. In some countries, the law says that this is how disputes will be handled. Employment contracts can be very hard to follow, and the country's employment laws will also be part of the picture. If there is a dispute, it's probably best for both the employer and the employee to get professional help to make sure they follow the process correctly. And this is the end, my friend. See you again next time.